Okay, good day to each and everyone joining us from across the globe, across the African countries. We are happy to have each and every one of you connecting this evening to the Teach4SDGs program. And this evening, it's going to be a wonderful session. Firstly, I want to congratulate you on behalf of the leadership of Advanced Initiative for International Development. Congratulations on your selection to enroll on the Teach4SDGs program. And I'm quite sure that this is going to be impactful for each and everyone. I believe you can hear me. I can see a lot of comments. I can see a lot of comments in the chat session, and each and everyone joining across the 36 states in Nigeria and also in other countries. It's so pleasing to see participants from all other countries, Cameroon, Uganda, Rwanda, and so many other countries. Yeah, this evening, we are moving straight to the information session. I might not really do much information session at this moment. I would just like to introduce myself. I'm Emmanuel Olaoluwoyo, and I'll be the program manager for this project. And you can get to connect and also, okay, thank you for confirming you can hear me. I'm Emmanuel Olaoluwoyo, and with all other teams that are also going to be working on this project, you can get to connect, you get to hear from us concurrently over and over. And this evening, we are going to be having the first training session, which is going to be on the concept and evolution of sustainable development. But before we move to the session, on the workshop part, I would just like to restate what exactly we are here to do and what exactly is the aim of this project. And as you all know, that the goal of this project, Teach4SDGs, is to empower educators. And we believe that everyone on this call is either a primary school teacher or a secondary school teacher, basically within the category of K-12. Within the category of K-12, and we believe that through this program, you are going to have vast knowledge, vast skills, and vast information in line to the activities, in line to the 2030 agenda. And we are not limiting this to the 2030 agenda alone. We are also looking at which areas which you can incorporate the SDGs into the education system, into the learning curriculum. These are things that are going to be of great benefit to each and everyone, and most especially the future generation. And I can see someone making a request for this meeting to be recorded. This meeting is recorded and also live on YouTube. You can always get to connect. And also, sorry, I didn't recognize the presence of our participants joining from YouTube. We are so glad to have you participate in this Teach4SDG program. And on behalf of the management of ADEP Africa, I can assure you that this program is going to transform you. It's going to impact you greatly, and most especially the future generation within your watch. And because for us to be able to keep the natural resources without being compromised, for us to be able to live that sustainable future, we have to educate the younger generation. And we as educators need to be properly enlightened about what these SDGs are and various activities of these SDGs. So I can promise you it's going to be an amazing time for each and every one. And like I mentioned earlier, we are going to be having the first training session, which is on the evolution and the concept of sustainable development. And this cuts across various aspects of SDGs, how it was formed and when it started, what brought about the SDGs. And I can assure you that you are going to enjoy the seasoned speaker, which we've already outlined for this workshop and for this training. This evening, we are blessed to have a professor in our midst in person of Professor Ngozi Odiaka. Professor Ngozi Odiaka is the co-director of SDSN Nigeria, and we are so blessed to have her on this call. Good evening, Ma. It's good to have you on this call. I don't know if you can unmute your mic from where you are.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Nice being with you.
Okay. Good evening. We can hear you now.
Thank you. Good evening once again. How are you? Thanks for inviting me. I'm glad being with you. Hope it will be a nice time with you guys. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this evening, Professor Ngozi Odiaka is going to be, like I earlier mentioned, introduced. She's going to be handling the session on that's the evolution and concept of sustainable development. Ma'am, may I confirm if you like to share your screen or you want the technical guys to work on that for you?
Oh, can you allow the technical staff to do that for me, please? Thank you.
All right, all right. Thank you very much. We'd just like to hand over to you. At the end of this session, we are going to be having the Q&A, whereby she is going to address more aspects in line to feed of expertise, various areas of expertise. And please, let's get prepared for this wonderful session. Thank you once again. I remain Emmanuel Olaoluwoyo. Over to you, Prof.
Thank you. Can you share the slide?
Okay, they are going to put that up shortly, right?
Are you done?
Just in some minutes, they are still working on it. Please.
Oh, okay, thank you.
All right, ma.
First, let me at this time just apologize in advance in case the network is not really very good. But where I am, the network is not too stable. I just hope and pray that it works for us till the end of the presentation.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Thank you. I hope my video is on.
No, your video is not displaying, but should in case your video is going to drag your network, we advise you switch off your video. Maybe at the end.
I'm using 2 devices.
Oh, so, you are using 2 devices. Oh,
yeah, I'm using 2 devices because of the network.
Okay, all right, that's fine. All right, you can start, man.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Which one do I use now? The network is, I hope you guys are hearing me.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Just a minute, I'm not. Okay, are you hearing me now?
Yes, perfectly. We can hear you clearly.
Okay. Good evening once again to everyone, those within and outside Nigeria. It's a pleasure being with you. And I think we all have come together to do something special that the United States nation has been on for a very long time, hoping that together we will make it. In this, I want to also thank the organizers for inviting me to this workshop. We are all learning together. Once you're a teacher, always a student. So thank you very much, my able youth leader for the United Nations Sustainable Development Solution Network Nigeria. Emmanuel, I'm grateful for giving me this opportunity. So straight to it, we're going to discuss the evolution and concept of sustainable development. And we're actually going to focus on the Teach4SDGs. It's mainly for education. And I believe that we'll be able to do something positive before the end of today. I have an outline which I'm going to discuss: the introduction, what development is all about, what sustainable development is all about, And also, we will talk a little bit about the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, in which we're going to have the educational sector in it. And then we look briefly at the concept of sustainable development and the pillars of sustainable development. And of course, at the end of the day, we're going to now wrap it up with the issue of teachers, with the educators, and SDG. Now, the term sustainable development actually came first in the World Conservation Strategy in 1980. And of course, after some time, it gained new status with two different publications in 1985 and also in 1983. And of course, it became a bigger issue in 1992 when it gained more attention in the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development held in Rio de Janeiro in June 1992. Now, when we talk about development, so many things comes into our head. But in this workshop that we're in, we're going to see development as the gradual growth of a situation that becomes more advanced and also stronger than the previous one. We will also see development as an intended issue to bring a positive change for human beings and, of course, also its surroundings. We will also see that development most times may take place by bringing about a change in policy and also legislation. Because when you go into research, and it is a data-driven research to bring about information, eventually policies are going to be changed and legislation definitely will come up. And you will also know that development kind of unfolds human potentials. I know you believe that. And it does that for meaningful participation in 1, economics, 2, in social, in 3, in political and also cultural processes, and also in institutions. And this is because people can improve their conditions when development comes to a place. Now, what then do we mean by sustainable development? Sustainable development is actually the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. I hope we got that clear. And that is why every nation is striving and working hard to make sure that the future of their generations to come will not be marred. Secondly, sustainable development is also an idea that human societies must live and also meet their needs. So as we are meeting the needs of the human societies, we are meeting the needs of the environment. And all we're looking out for is that at the end of it all, our generations yet unborn will not suffer. So the concept of needs, in particular, the essential needs of the world's poor, to which overriding priority should be given, is taken as the major need of the people. And the ideas of limitations that are imposed by the state of technology, you'll agree with me that the state of technology has actually increased. And the social organization on the environment's ability to meet the present need and also the future need is what we are talking about. So Sustainable Development Goals are actually 17. And the major one we are talking about today is the quality education. That is the number 4 goal of the SDG. And that's amongst the 17 different goals that we have. So what then are the concepts of sustainable development? Well, from what I have talked and defined on the issues of development and also sustainability, you will begin to draw an inference that sustainable development means maintaining a delicate balance between the human need to improve lifestyles and feeling of well-being on one hand, and preserving natural resources and ecosystems on which we, that's you and I, and our future generations will depend on. I hope I'm communicating to someone. So in essence, there are 2 different concepts of sustainable development. When you go into the internet, there are so many concepts that people, but they all come to the same thing at the end of the day. But there are 2 major concepts. That is the physical sustainability and the intergeneration equity. So the first one, which is the physical sustainability, is the recognition of the limits of nature. Yes, nature has limits. The recognition of the limits to nature and striving towards an overall global ecological balance. And when we talk about environment, of course, that comes into it. We also have the intergeneration equity, and that's the environmental resources and the economic welfare that should be available for future generation, at least equal to the present ones. But the fact remains that we need to know what's going to happen and prepare for the future generation at every point in time. That gives us the sustainability that we're talking about. And in this sustainability, we have pillars, things that actually
Sorry to cut you, Ma. We have someone writing something on the screen. Can you please erase it?
Sorry?
Something on the screen.
There's something on the screen?
The screen. It's what you are writing on the screen. Or you stop that. Maybe your phone is in someone's hand. All right, you can continue, Prof.
Okay. I'm not even hearing you very well, but I hope I'm communicating. So, okay, I can see something is being written on the screen. Is it okay now, Emmanuel?
You can continue, Ma. We'll find our way around that and see how that can be deleted.
All right, so I was talking about the concept of sustainability, and I said there are 2 major types, 2 major concepts. And these concepts are being held by pillars. And these pillars of sustainable development are actually 4 in number. Some may have more than that, but they're all embedded in this 4. Now, the first is the social development. The second is the economic development. The third is environmental protection. And of course, we also have the human development. For the economic development, you may have an idea on that. Environmental protection, yes, we have. And also the human development, we have. But you discover that there is this human development. It means it is the cultural diversity actually that is necessary for humankind, as biodiversity is for nature. So it can not be understood simply in terms of economic growth or social development without bringing in the cultural issues. But also it means for us to be able to achieve a more satisfactory intellectual, emotional, moral, and even spiritual existence. I mean, we should be able to understand that and know that it exists and it's all embedded in the pillar or what holds sustainability or sustainable development as we move on. So we call them pillars. So if we go to the next slide, which is the importance of the concept of sustainable development, you discover that we have several points with respect to the importance of sustainable development. The first is that the development of non-polluting renewable energy systems. We also have population stability when you're talking about the importance of concepts of sustainable development. Apart from that, we have integrated land use planning, which many nations has actually gotten into. And of course, healthy cropland and grassland. We also have woodland and revegetation of marginal lands. Again, we talk more of the conservation of biological diversity, conservation of several other things that we have in the world, control of pollution, recycling the waste, which many of our students are getting into now, apart from the waste that we have, you know, the polythene bags and all that we have. We also have even crop residues, how we can recycle all this to make them useful for us to be able to sustain our world. And of course, ecological compatibility with human settlements is also important, and sustainable development addresses it. And lastly, it also addresses the environmental education and awareness at all levels. I want to apologize for the noise that we're having here and there. Please take me as I am this evening, because where I am, I actually look for a site where I can have good network. Okay, the next slide is talking more about the aim. So why the sustainable development? Yes, we have gotten the concepts. Yes, we know the pillars that can hold them. Yes, we have the importance. We know why it's important for us to have sustainable development, because we want to sustain and maintain what we have for future generations and for us to also make use of. So the aim of sustainable development is actually to define viable schemes combining the economic, the social, and environmental aspects of human activity. So this is making sure that there is a balance between the three types of sustainable development, which we mentioned earlier. Remember, we had a fourth one, which is a human, which I described as the cultural diversity and others that we need to get into. The next slide. So sustainable teaching practices. We are getting into the issue of teaching. You are a teacher, I'm a teacher. So why sustainable teaching practices? Why should we even think about it? We should know that as a teacher, sustainable teaching is actually the practice of giving students generally the skills they need for lifelong learning outside the classroom. They need those skills. They need the handwork to be able to sustain what they have and to be able to keep what tomorrow will look like. So it is the teachers that we have to expose these children to what they need. And this can be done through teaching issues of sustainability, and of course, bringing in soft skills such as critical thinking, research, collaboration, and presentation of skills. I know that most of us who go through tertiary institutions or even in secondary schools, we're good in giving notes. We're good in writing out for them to do something. But I think it's time we begin to have models where these children can think out what they can do. All they need is your guidance on how to do it, because the skills are there. Whether the soft skills, whether in research or in collaboration, they know what to do if you are able to lead them aright. But if you don't know, that is where the issue is. And that is where you're creating awareness and getting to know more about sustainable development is absolutely necessary. Now, if you have the skills and you have the way to do it, how are you going to integrate the SDGs in your school curriculum? So the first thing we should do when we're thinking of, bringing in or integrating the SDGs into existing curriculum is, one, to map out what you are already doing. So what are you doing currently? What are the things that you actually will want to, to lay your hands on with respect to your needs, the needs of the people around you, the needs of the community where you are staying, and the needs of the future children that we will have? Because we're thinking of today and we're thinking of tomorrow also. So the first thing is you knowing and mapping out what you are doing already with respect to probably the social development, the economic development, environmental development, even the human development. What exactly are you doing? When you have that information, then you have to build your capacity. You have to build your ownership for education, for sustainable development. It's absolutely necessary. And in doing that, you also have to identify your priorities. You have to identify your opportunities. You also have to identify your gaps. What are the gaps? What are the problems? You have to justify them. But you bring in critical thinking, not where you just take children to school, you teach them ABC. You need to tell them why the ABC, how the ABC, and then where to get the ABC. And then they will begin to think on their own to make sure that they get to that stage. It's absolutely necessary. But sincerely, you need to have that passion to do those things for you to be able to teach it. And then fourthly, you now have to integrate it into your own system, into your own curriculum. You need to implement it and embed it also in the SDGs that you're actually dealing with. Remember, we said there are 17 different goals that we have. And the one we are dealing with today is quality education, and how the children in the school can get into SDGs or the goals in SDGs for their own sake, the sake of the people that are yet to come, and future more generations. And I want to say again that you need to maintain what you have, you need to evaluate what you have, and you need to communicate what you have. It's not the time where you have to hide what you have. You don't hide knowledge. You don't. You don't need to hide knowledge. So you have to maintain what you have. You have to evaluate them all the time. And again, you also have to communicate what you know and what you have. Next slide, please. So the reason why you need to teach these subjects or these issues of sustainable development in schools is because your students, they need to learn about the world. If you're talking about the world, the need of the world, you can rule out social issues, you can't rule out your environment, you can't rule out the economic aspect of it. And of course, you can't rule out the human aspect. So everything is still the same, just rolling around the same thing. So you just must let them know and understand the world that they live in. But if you don't know and you don't understand, it becomes really difficult for you to push what you know, or what you don't know, rather. So the SDGs are actually universal goals for all people and are inherently global in nature. So when we're talking about the SDGs in Nigeria, it's the same thing in SDGs in Ghana, it's the same thing in Mali, same thing in Monrovia, same thing in UK, US, everywhere. It's a universal issue. There are goals that are universal in nature, and it touches everyone. And of course, it's going to help our students, you and I, to develop insights into critical issues around the world. Yes, it's going to help us, it's going to expose us to the things that we need within our niche and across the world, such as the lack of access to clean water, such as gender equality. You get to know more. You understand the world, you understand your system, you understand your community, and you'll be able to find solutions to these issues. Next slide. So, in promoting sustainable development, I believe we teachers, you and I, should be role models for our students. Yes, we should be role models for our students, such that cultivation of values in students may be enhanced. I want to give you a little introduction into my own discipline. When I got into my discipline, I was not cajoled into agriculture. No, I am a proud agronomist. And I chose plant science because I loved it. So for me, anyone who comes into agriculture and feels bad, I normally will make them to love agriculture because I have passion for plants. But if you don't, you won't be able to convince or bring in people into sustainability. You have to have that conviction. So your being a role model is absolutely necessary. And it's been a role model for students so that they can also cultivate those values that you have that you want to pass on to. Secondly, it's absolutely necessary for us to promote sustainable development for social awareness. You need it, I need it, our students need it. So it's time we begin to let them know that issues of sustainable development with respect to social awareness is necessary. We also need to let them know that is when you know that economic awareness or economic issues are needing serious attention, serious attention. And of course, we need to promote because we need to protect our environment. Hello, we need to protect our environment. The rate at which the climate change has come upon us is crying for us to have that need to bring in issues of environment into our curriculum. we need to understand ourselves better. We need to get, to get to know that some of us are even causing the problems. Get to some states now. Most of their timber trees have been cut down for charcoal. Yes. So we're having issues. Most of our indigenous crops have been cut down because they want to create roads. Are we replanting? I hope we know we're reducing a lot of CO2. I hope we know we're reducing, if that happens, the oxygen. I hope we know we're bringing in all other kind of gas into the atmosphere because of this issue of environment. We're not protecting our environment. So we need to create that awareness and let them know that protecting the environment is absolutely necessary. And this, honestly speaking, is the basic component of sustainable development, the social, the economic, and the protection of our environment. Next slide, please. So you begin to ask yourself, how then can I teach students with SDGs? The first thing I said, create awareness on SDGs. You need to create awareness. For you to create this awareness, you need to know what SDGs are. You may not have the whole SDGs on your head, no, but at least you should know that we have the 17 goals, and then you need to show them, let them know that these things are there and we need to do something. You can show them videos on SDGs, yes. You can show them, different, there are so many videos or clips, very short clips that you can show them on the environment, on economic issues, on gender inequality, everything, social issues, they are all embedded there. Again, recently I got a puzzle, and this is actually for kids, you can't believe it, for kids. And I sent them to grandchildren, just for them to play along with. But it's a puzzle. And before you now finish the puzzle, you begin to, it's creative. Puzzles helps you in thinking. And we talked about critical thinking. It helps you to think out what's next to be able to solve the puzzle. So allow students to have puzzles that are related to SDGs anyway. Also, you can help the students to practice the SDGs with flashcards. Yes, there are so many flashcards. If I have them, some are in colors, different colors, or a hotspot image. You can also, if you want, probably pull the SDGs into a classroom discussion. I've done that severally in my class when I'm teaching horticultural crops. Just ask them, oh, we're having issues of economic, well, no money here, no money there. So how can you use horticulture to bring in money to solve a lot of problems? Is it going to give you good IGR? And we discuss, and while we are discussing, you pull them into the issues of SDGs, how horticulture can meet the different SDG goals. And of course, once you do that, you have hit something, and they begin to think, oh yes, I can. When I leave the school, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, before they call us for NYC. But you need to create this awareness. You need to let them know, you need to teach them to do it. Also, one of the things that has helped is playing the SDGs board game. You can do that one physically, or you can do it digitally. It's online. You can also do that. You can, give them links to such sites, and they begin to work on their own. And of course, you can just give them quiz at different times to check about the knowledge that they have for the different SDG goals that you are thinking of. Next slide, please. Thank you. So, yes, we now know how to teach them, teach the students about the SDGs, and then creating the awareness. I think I said, in creating awareness about these SDGs with our students, we need to raise an understanding for the students regarding the importance and the requirements of the Agenda 2030. The beauty of Agenda 2030, is leaving no one behind. I love that phrase, leaving no one behind. So whether you are in the primary school or secondary school or tertiary institution, wherever you are, the instruction is leave no one behind. And that's it. So when they have that understanding and they know the goals, they will push on. Oh yes, they will push on. So secondly, identification of interfaces between the objectives and daily practice is also very important. And lastly, maybe providing ideas, and giving examples for action plans. It's necessary. And then of course, when you add good practices, like integrating the Agenda 2030 within communication strategy of your own organization, it may bring you something greater. Fourthly, you can also use this lesson to introduce the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals to your primary learners. Like you can see in the next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. So these are the 17 goals that I've shown earlier. So you can use this as lessons to introduce your SDGs in any of your classes. They are colorful. The images are there. The goals are well written. So you have goal 1, no hunger. You have goal 2. You have 3, 4, and all that to 17. So you can also use it. I know we have cards too, which you can use for each student. And you can ask each student to come out, to display and tell us what they have. In my campus, I know that we have some corpers who are working with me. They have that for the secondary school year. For the secondary school students in my university, they go there with a card. So each person has a card, and then you come recite what you have. But normally they will take just one goal and work with the goal for the children. Next slide. So for the activities of SDGs, that is the SDG targets. We have extreme poverty and hunger. We have focus on reducing inequalities. And we also have ensuring good conditions for everyone. So their purpose is also to promote peaceful and inclusive societies all over the world, and to improve the quality of education and also strengthen global partnership. So for the students themselves, what is SDG for? I think the Sustainable Development Goal 4, which is the SDG 4, the quality education that we are talking about, is expected at this time to be shown and given to the students themselves. You let them know that we have SDG 4, and SDG 4 talks about quality education. And these goals are indivisible, and it encompasses the economic, also social and environmental dimensions. So those are the pillars. You see, they are always there. If you are talking about education, social issues comes in, environmental issues comes in, economic issues comes in, even the cultural values also comes in. So we should be able to explain to them, for them to have a better idea and better information on the SDG goal that we are talking about. So in integrating this to the students or into their curriculum, please always take a principle-based approach to SDGs. Yes, make sure that you take the principle-based approach to SDGs. Set ambition goals to meet or exceed the vision of the 2030 agenda. and also integrate the action of the SDGs deeply into core business practices, not just academic only, no, into core business practices. And when we do that, you will now be able to scale your actions across supply and value chains. And how that is done is very easy. Just make sure you integrate your actions on the SDGs into your core business practices. And honestly, it helps you to scale up your actions across your supply and your value chains. I want to believe that the little that I have been able to give has been able to, pop up something in you to want to give, first to receive, and then to give to your students, and to make sure that at the end of it all, we all are meeting the need of the global issues concerning our SDGs. Thank you, and God bless you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Diaka, for this enlightening session. We really appreciate every bit of it. And right about now, I can see someone's hand up already. I know there are a lot of questions which educators definitely I will be referring to each and every one on this call as educators. And there are a lot of questions, area of concerns, which they want you to address now. And before you leave today, we appreciate you address these questions. And I also want to say this is just a tip of the iceberg. Definitely there are a lot of series which have been outlined during the course of this program. So should you have any question, you can just use the comment section to drop a question. And if you like to ask your question directly, please you can signify why you have been granted the permission to ask your question. I can see two people's hand up already. Okay, can we have Ibrahim from Yobe? Mr. Ibrahim, you can unmute your mic. Please just ask your question in 30 seconds. We are having a lot of people that want to ask questions.
Okay, so my question is that I actually, in the first time, I have this glitch over my network, so I didn't get the beginning of the lecture. Can you please aid me with the PPT of the presentation so that at least I'll go through it, because my network is somehow, but it is raining in my area.
Okay, that's fine. Let me just quickly address that. I can see people asking about the presentation slide, and these are what the organizers of this program have already structured out. There is a back end which you will always have the learning resources, which includes various materials, various documents in line to SDGs, and also the presentation slides from all the speakers and experts that are going to be facilitating the workshop series. Okay, thank you. Can we have the representative from FCT? I'm finding it difficult to pronounce your name. Enokafor. Can you unmute your mic and ask your question? Hello, Enokafor, you can ask your question. Apologies if I mispronounced your name. Or if Olubusola is there, you can also unmute your mic and ask your question.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Can we?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. I'm Olubusola Zakios from Lagos. And I want to appreciate the presenters. Although I joined late, but I only met Professor Ngozi. I want to appreciate her for little enlightenment and benefit. So my question is that on this SDG goals that we are talking about in this period of our intensive training, are we only focusing on SDG 4 or all the SDG goals put together? That's what I want to know. Thank you very much.
Okay, I believe I might be the one to respond to that question. So these questions which you are asking, I would just appreciate you direct the questions to Professor Ongozi Odiaka, but she only mentioned quality education being the focal of achieving all the Sustainable Development Goals. And also as educators, what we are emphasizing on for this session, this workshop series, she's emphasizing more on quality education. Definitely the other series that has to do with climate action, and definitely, you know, part of the modules which you are also going to be having for this series include environmental sustainability in line to climate action. We have the aspect of technology, the industry innovations and infrastructure, SDG-9, and these are many more goals which we are going to be addressing during the course of the program. But it's not just limited to quality education alone. Can we have David from Kaduna? You can unmute your mic and ask your question. Hello, Mr. David from Kaduna. You can unmute your mic and ask your question. And please, you can as well drop the questions using the comment section. That will make it more faster for us to be able to check through, and also the facilitator will be able to respond to it swiftly. Sanusi, you can also unmute your mic. If you are there, you can unmute your mic and ask your question.
Okay, good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to express my appreciation to the organizers of this program. And then secondly, I have a little question on the how to teach students about the SDGs. Number one, Prof in her presentation made mention of some puzzles, asking students to solve puzzles. So how can we get these puzzles that are related to the SDGs? That's number one. Number two, she also mentioned about the board game, which can be played either physically or digital. I would also like to know where we can get these types of games. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I'm trying to identify a lady or a woman that will ask a question before Prof respond to this. Can we have Precious from, okay, she wrote Nigeria. Precious Alfred, please, can you unmute your mic and ask your question?
Okay, good afternoon all. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, speak on.
Okay, I want to appreciate the facilitator for a very brief and educating section, and using the SDG work plan. It's about 17 of them. For pupils in primary school, which of those plans are best to start with for them? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that question. Over to you, Prof. We appreciate you attend to the first question in line to the puzzle source of they getting it. If there is any maybe online platform which you can share, and the other question from our participants recently.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Thanks for the questions that you have asked. That means you were actually listening. The truth is that the puzzles can be easily found online. And then we have the cards that you can also play, physical ones. You can make them yourselves. You can also get them online. You can just go Google it, and you will have, just Google puzzles for SDGs. You will have one or two that you can download for your students to work on. And if you want to start with your children in you said primary schools, or did I get her right?
Yes, primary school.
Yeah, you can start with any of them. You can begin to talk about good health and well-being. What we did in my own area was to use the SDG 3 good health and well-being. So when the children come to school, you know, initially we had created awareness with them. We sing songs with them. With the SDG 1 to 17, we made the card. Everyone has the card. So you pick the card you want, and each time we want 17 people that will come out. The number 1, no poverty. Number 2, you know, another person has another card with zero hunger. Another person has his own card, just like that to 17. Then the one you want to hinge on, if we are hinging on good health and well-being, you know, in primary schools or secondary schools, you have, I'm sorry, my video is off because my network's a little bit shaky. So please don't mind me. You know, you now begin to tell them to pick pieces of paper that they should make sure that each time they come to campus, to school, they don't leave papers, you know, all around. They should pick their papers. And you discover that these children, you know, they are children, and what you give them, once they enjoy it, they will stick by it. So once they come to school, they have their songs that they sing, and they will just start picking the pieces of papers here and there. And it's keeping the compound clean. It's for good health. It's sweeping and cleaning everywhere around you. And of course, when your surroundings are clean, you are bound to have good health. And when you're talking about zero hunger, you're talking about no poverty, you can begin to have a production of something, probably crops or even recycling things. You make them to pick all plastic, rubber bottles into something and create something with them and tell them they can melt it and make it into something else. They will begin to look for empty bottles for you, and they will pull those bottles together and bring them. You know, you create something, or you can open up a farm, not a big farm. It can just be a 1 meter by 1 meter farm. And you make it up in such a way that you find that these children can put these amaranthus, just amaranthus. And at the end of the day, you see them harvesting it. When they go there, they see it very green. Help them to maintain it. Give them organic farming. Tell them not to add any fertilizer. Let them bring, you know, recycled food or waste in their homes, or trash in their homes. Tell them to put it together in some way. After some time, it decomposes. It becomes fertilizer. And that's how to make it. So you don't necessarily need to go on for big things or big issues before they know what they're doing.
Okay, there is another question. Let me just read 2 questions from the comment section. We have a question from, we have a question from Margaret. Oh, then, sorry, apologies, I mispronounced your name, from Lagos. As educators, I believe that's why the focus is number 4. My question is, how do we have a total package to be able to teach awesome package of SDGs? Then there is another question in line to this, just in a minute. The question is from Charles. He said, thank you very much, Prof. Kindly, if I didn't miss it, how can we measure the effectiveness of sustainability in quality education? You are outlining the things to be done, but measuring techniques seems to be missing. All right, Prof, can you, I don't know, maybe you got the questions, ma'am.
Hello?
Did you get the questions, ma'am?
Not clear, it's wobbling already.
Okay, yes, if you can, I don't know if you can hear me clearly now.
Yeah, you said what? Oh, it's
so
gone off
the
again.
question from Charles, he asked that, how can we measure the effectiveness of sustainability in quality education? You outline things to be done, but measuring techniques of the effectiveness of sustainability in quality education, how can we get to measure this? Then there's another question from, another question which we have, that's Margaret. She asks that, how do we have a total package to be able to teach awesome pack of SDGs?
I hope I'm getting this thing right. the first one, how you can get the two packages. Yes, there are some people, there's some people who, oh my God. Oh my God, it's off again. But if you're hearing me, peradventure you're hearing me.
We can hear you, we can hear you.
You can easily get that from any sustainable development solution network. They can help you to source for it. You can also download some and print them out if you want, depending on how you want to do it. But the main thing for us in getting information and being able to measure what we have done is using data. It's only data that can give you an evidence-based information that can bring about policies or bring about issues that you want to really hold on to. So there must be a research to confirm what you're doing. You must have a survey. You must be able to get information from others to know whether what we are using or what we are doing is actually getting students to do something. In secondary schools, even the children can help give you the information. They know whether what we are doing is helping them or not. They understand whether it's helping them to be better. They know. So data-driven, evidence-based information is absolutely necessary. So if you want to know whether you are actually making impact, you need to get data. If you want information on how to push out these SDG goals, you need to get your cards by yourself. You can do it on your own. Yes, you can. You can print out on your own if you want, or you can look for it from any SDSN office. Hello, I hope I'm not off. Hello, Emmanuel.
No, you are not, ma.
Okay.
Can we have the question from Mr. John? Mr. John, you can open your mic and ask your question.
Okay, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate you, Prof, and the host for this program. I was going through your chat and I saw a couple of people that asked similar questions myself. Also, with the FME, African Ministry of Education, and somebody from Adamawa and also from Lagos, I think Isa and Emmanuel, if I'm correct, I believe they are thinking in the same line. So we're looking at what is SDD doing about the heads? I mean, from the ADs to the DDs to the directors, as regards this SDG. Have they been trained? Have they been mentored as regards this? Because it appears that many educators tend to face brick walls in schools. I'll give you a classic example myself. I've actually been practicing this SDG goal for a very long time. I'm a STEM teacher, a physicist, and also a cybersecurity person. But I've been practicing for a long time, but I keep facing brick walls. It's very, very difficult to implement any of these things because they feel you're going way above what you should, the pace you should go. Next thing they will tell you, as the minister approved it, it's not supposed to be. You have to pipe low or stay down. So that is one of the issues we actually have. I don't know if people have done anything about that or if you're yet to get done. But I think you should start with them first before coming to us. That is one part. And okay, maybe secondly, I'm going to try and communicate with the co-host, which is Emmanuel, to help us moderate most of the things going on at the back end. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Grateful for that information and the question you're asking. One thing we all must know is that you and I must see ourselves as users and providers of information. That's number one. You must see yourself as an individual who will provide information. So I'm happy that you are saying that at your own end, you are also trying to do something. With the ministry, yes. I know SDSN Nigeria has had several workshops on awareness creation on SDG issues. And the reason arm of government that is directly in charge of SDGs at the national and at the state level. And OSAP is the one directly in charge. They have also done so much. In fact, it is not even the government alone. We have the CSOs who are also working on SDGs across the nation. So if it is not getting to a particular ministry, then we should take it up on ourselves to make sure that such gets the information. We create awareness where they are. And now that you are bringing up such information, I think it's a good one for SDS in Nigeria. And I think Emmanuel has taken note of it. We'll do something about the particular ministry to make sure that we get across to them so that we are seen working together. That is what SDS in Nigeria is actually trying to do, to make sure that as a nation, we pull ourselves together and do something, not that everyone will be on his own, but that together we'll be able to achieve something. I hope I've answered your question.
Perfectly, Prof. Thank you for that. And one thing I would just like to chip in is if you are an educator and in your state you are trying to carry out activities in line to SDGs, there are various offices in charge of sustainable development goals. It might be a ministry and it might be a special advisor or assistant to the governor on SDGs. These are offices that are readily available to welcome you and also to welcome your initiative. And just like Prof mentioned, these are things which we are also we are noting, and definitely we can, but I can't promise due to the transition process, because we still have a database of all these offices in charge of SDGs across the 36 states plus FCT. So, but after the transition, you can now say that these are the offices or the contact person in which you can reach out to also aid your initiative or your campaign or advocacy project. So we have a lot of people that want to ask questions. I really don't know, but we just have to make it very brief. Can we have Caroline Titilope, and also we also have Innocent from Abuja. Please make it very brief, just 30 seconds.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I really appreciate the lectures and I'm okay with it. But my question is, and you have also answered it partly, do we now take it as a subject or we just take it as an extracurricular activities in the school? Because me as a head of school, I've been practicing some of these developmental objectives, but with this knowledge now, I think I can foster it down, tell my teachers to inculcate it much more. Then as we have other clubs in the school, we can also adopt it. But is it supposed to be taken as a subject or as an extracurricular activity? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Innocent, can we have your question briefly?
Can I answer this before I forget?
Okay, you want to respond to it immediately,
Let me respond to Inlade very quickly. The truth is that we have a curriculum on sustainable development, and the government and SDSN is actually working towards that. We have series of curriculum development for SDGs, and I know that more is coming. So we are working with the body responsible for curriculum at the basic level, secondary and tertiary. So we are working towards it, but I want to encourage you to continue what you're doing. You know, bringing it in now makes it easier for them to just flow into it without even knowing. So for now, you can go the way you are going, but issues of curriculum is not a one school affair, it's a national affair. So, and at the national level, we're already handling it, and we hope it comes out fast. If you remember, issues of entrepreneurship was not in the universities before, was not being taught, you know, but later it was added and it became a subject in the universities and tertiary institutions. So it's going to be with the SDGs too. Yes, Emmanuel.
All right, thank you very much, Prof. Can we have Innocent from Abuja? You ask a question, while we also have Wilson from Nasarawa after.
All right, thank you, Ebu host, for this auspicious event this evening. First, I would like to make a diligent appeal that an official website is provided to aid, continuous learning. I think it's very, very important. Then secondly, my question is, in as much as we want to achieve quality education, and imparting the knowledge of our SDGs to students and via showing of videos and other digital means, how do we put in place issues of lack of power supply, access to the internet, and what have you, as it concerns schools in remote areas, just to achieve, quality education for everyone? That's my simple question. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I've forgotten the name now. The truth is that we have not gotten there. We are working towards it. Yes, even in towns, network is still a problem. I'm having a problem even in town. I'm still having a problem in town. Little by little, we're going to get there. So we only need to make the best use of what we have, create the awareness for them. You can begin with the issues of no hunger, good health, well-being, and there are several things you can do with that, making sure that they drink clean water, making sure that your children, the students, the pupils, don't dirty themselves while in school, making sure they clear their surroundings, making sure that they don't cut down trees, making sure that there's so many things you can do without necessarily having internet. And then the physical ones that you who know can be in town and download those chats and you can use it for them. You understand? You can also make your own puzzle. Even if you cannot download from the internet, you can draw some things and then cut them, make your puzzles and give to them for them to know, look, I don't need to cut down trees where I am because it's going to create, an opening for rain, for water to flow down. So those little things that we do, will also help your people to stand. But we are working towards it. I hope Nigeria will get internet in the village first. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. I want to read some questions from the comment section. And there's a question from Benjamin. Is there any way? Okay. So the questions has been on integrating SDGs into school curriculum. Can head of schools principal be involved in this program, because some of the head of schools don't give attention to this? And there is another question in line to that from Robert. Not is it from Robert Kenya? Okay, no, the comment from Robert. Okay, it's a question from Dari. He said, how can we integrate in the curriculum while we don't have the permission from the Ministry of Education? Like here in Tanzania, it's not yet introduced in the curriculum. So these are questions that are centered around SDGs. So Prof, from your vast expertise and experience in the development space, even when we don't have a policy being set up by the government, but we felt there is a need for that policy to be launched and also adopted by every sector, how do you think we can strategically achieve this?
I think it's Onilaji that said he already has started doing something. We won't have to sit down and fold our hands and watch. No, I think our best bet is to begin little by little. And like I said, it's also for us in SDSN Nigeria, knowing that our teachers are yet to even have or know. So we need to create awareness for these principals, like probably having a workshop for principals in secondary school, and probably headmasters in primary school. So primary and secondary school, because we actually have been focusing on tertiary institutions, to be sincere with you. So now we need to go down creating awareness for these people by having a workshop for them. Probably when they have that, they now have a deeper insight and understanding into what SDG is all about and the need for their school to do it. That's number one. Secondly, you don't have a policy, you don't have a curriculum, you don't have a subject on it for now, yes, but you can begin by making sure that in your own class, when you are teaching a particular subject, whether it's in economics or you are teaching them social issues or you are bringing in issues of environment, you may be teaching them geography, you may be teaching them maybe plant science, integrated science. You can bring in the issue of sustainability into integrated science. Now, cutting down, you know what a plant is. You know how plant feeds. You know how it takes its water. You know how, yes, but assuming you don't have that water available, what happens? I know you understand that everyday activity boils down to sustainable development, SDGs. Remember, we said is to meet our needs, our present needs, and the future generation. So all that we are doing every day has sustainability in it. But it's for us to pull it out and to understand that this thing we are doing is for us to be able to sustain our life and the life of the people to come. Okay, why do you tell people not to cut down trees? Okay, if they cut down trees, what do you tell them? Replant them. It's for sustainability. So you may be giving that while you are teaching them agriculture until that policy comes up. But you see, for the policy to come up, somebody had asked, how can we evaluate? Until we have that data to be able to now come up with information that can create a policy for us in our nation to be able to bring it out. So for the person in Tanzania, the person in Nigeria, the person in Mali, you can begin, with the little that you can, so that the greater one will come up when it's available.
Thank you very much, Prof, for this wonderful response and enlightenment. We really appreciate every bit of it. At this point, I think we are okay. I'm just going to give more room to just two people. And I'm looking at, so by tomorrow, please, our questions have to be more structured. If you have a question, kindly drop your question ahead of time. If you have a question, kindly drop your question ahead of time so that the facilitator can attend to it once and for all. So can we have Precious? Precious, you can unmute your mic. And the last question we are going to take for today is from Salu. Precious, you can unmute your mic and ask your question.
Yes, thank you very much. Regarding what Professor said about the curriculum, inculcating it in the curriculum in the schools and policies in agencies, that is where we don't have authorization from the Ministry of Education and other ministries to inculcate it into the curriculum. I was thinking maybe, in addition to what she has said, maybe it could be a form of establishment of clubs. When SGBV came, before the Child Rights Act and other policies that were enforced on SGBV issue, it all started like sensitization, awareness, and clubs, peace club, SGBV clubs were like created, advocacy visits were paid. So I think most of us that we are wishing and praying for that, or we want it to be inculcated to the curriculum. I think our move should be around more advocacy to relevant stakeholders, more sensitization to school, and seeing how we can, if possible, establish clubs that talk about SDGs, and then how we can start moving from the clubs gradually before policies are enforced, are brought to curriculum. Maybe the knowledge have gone far with the children before we start it in the curriculum.
Yeah, thank you for that wonderful feedback, Precious. Thank you. So can we have Salu unmute your mic and ask your question? or if it's a comment you also want to give.
Yeah, thank you, moderator. Hope you are addressing me as well.
Please, can you speak up?
Yeah, I mean, thank you very much for having me. Prof, that was a very good presentation. We learned a lot. Mine is a comment as regards the issue of call to action. And I think it's very important that while teaching pupils and students about the Sustainable Development Goal, we need to drive a call to action. I want to hit the issue of call to action because the essence of engaging young people in sustainable development is to ensure that it becomes part of their daily routines, part of their actions. So there's need for educators and teachers to ensure that apart from the knowledge of SDG, which is readily available online, there is need to encourage students to engage in actions that sustain our environment beyond the usual learning, like planting of trees, to come out just like extracurricular activity as the last speaker just mentioned, things like having clubs that address sustainable environment. There are other issues that we could be creative in the way we call students to action, just like the prof mentioned, the games and other teaching aid that can be used to exchange knowledge among students. So I think that this is just my little observation as to that. It was a wonderful engagement. I really enjoyed the session. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Salih. Thank you for the comments. Really appreciate you. And to every participant, every educator on this call this evening, we sincerely appreciate you. And I will just quickly say one or two things. And we're also going to we have to do our group picture this evening. It's important. So please, can we just on our video while we take our group picture, then I will quickly share some information about the next activity of the program. Please, then Prof, before you go, we appreciate to give your own closing thoughts and remarks. Please, kindly on your video if you can. Kindly on your video if you can while we take a group photograph. Okay, I can see some people's video off. It's good we take a group photograph. We are also contributing to the advocacy call now. And it's always good to see each and everyone. Yeah, thank you. Prof, finally, I can see your face. Awesome. It's good to see you. It's good to see you. Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you.
Glad to have you on this call. Thank you so much. I can see a lot of beautiful faces, wonderful people across African countries, not just in Nigeria alone. But I can see that we are more passionate about SDGs in Nigeria. Please, other colleagues from arrest me for that anyway. But it's very good that we have a very huge number of applicants to this program from Nigeria, and it's also good to also have participants from other countries that are participating in it. It's an African project and advanced initiative for international development. We keep doing more and keep pioneering solutions towards contributing to achieving the SDGs. Now, this evening, I'll quickly want to share some information about the next activities for the event. And before Prof give our final thoughts and remarks. Regarding the program, we have various phases of this program which we are to carry out as educators. The very first phase is this workshop series which we are doing currently. And once we are done with the workshop series, we move to the phase 2. And there was a program brief that was shared with us during the onboarding session, and I believe we have all studied it. We are going to be having 6 live master workshop series. and why we are also going to be having some self-paced courses in line to curriculum review and some other areas which can contribute to help each and every educators to make impacts on the future generation, and also help to integrate SDGs to the education system. And when we talk about this workshop series, please, it's very important for each and every one of us to attend the workshop, and because these are live and engaging moments which you can connect with these industry experts. And another aspect which I also want to talk about has to do with the self-paced courses. I already mentioned it alongside the workshop series. We are going to be having some self-paced courses, and someone asked a question regarding websites in line to SDGs. Yeah, we have websites. If you check SDG Academy, there are a lot of courses there which you can enroll on. If you check UNESCO platform, there are a lot of courses there which you can enroll on, and these are professional courses that are going to contribute and also help to develop your expertise as a teacher. And we are going to be sharing that in the course of next week, early next week. We are going to be sharing these self-paced courses with each and every one. Then I've already mentioned it earlier that we are going to be having a backend where all the learning resources, there are some learning resources, there are some learning materials which we put together to provide to each and every educator that can also assist in your teaching and also integrating the SDGs into the curriculum. And lastly, that has to do with the SDG activation. This is the core and most important part of this program. I'm so glad that many of us are talking about how we can bring sustainable development goals, how it can be adopted as a course or as a subject in schools. Yeah, I believe we are getting there. It's just a gradual process, just like the way we have social studies those days and many of those subjects. And basically, our role as educators is to activate the SDGs in our school. You can put up your video, please. That's fine. Thank you very much. I saw some questions, people asking that, is this something I can do as a whole? Yeah, it's something you can do, but it's important you mobilize. And the strategy for this project is for you to learn. And after you might have learned, the next thing is to engage. You get to engage. And the third aspect is to make impact. The impact is where the SDG activation is coming in. We need to activate these SDGs across our schools. And that leads to we having the SDG clubs. I know in Lagos State, we have some public schools that have their SDGs club, and also in Ibadan, in Oyo State, and some other states, we have some SDGs club functioning. But it's important for us to also contribute to this club and see how we can strengthen the framework and the structure of those clubs. That's our major role, whereby we are going to end up closing the project in the month of June. But the SDG activation is something you can start planning, you can start working towards it. But basically, it's between 15th to 31st of May. We have 2 weeks to do that, to engage our students and with different trainings and teachings in line to SDGs. And please, you need to take a record of each of these things you are doing, because the time is coming that you will definitely be asked about things you've done in line to SDGs. And these are competitive advantage you are going to have above others. I believe these are the basic information, these are the major information I have for this period. Definitely the communication manager is still going to share more information with us on the community, on the WhatsApp community. And at this point, if there are questions, the WhatsApp community has been asked. We can use it. Before we end today's call, I would like to call on Prof to please give our closing remarks.
Okay, thank you very much, Emmanuel, and thank you everyone for being with us all through. And I really want to congratulate you on this. I believe very strongly that where there is a will, there's always a way out. You have started, I believe that you will finish it. You're part of it, and you're going to work towards it. Like I said, you and I will have to give the information. You and I must make sure that these issues of SDG is left at everybody's part to do. So we must give both to the young and the old, the black and the white, because it's a global issue. I sincerely wish you all the best. It's the beginning of greater things to happen. Your beginning may be small, but I'm sure your latter end is going to be great. Congratulations, and I wish you many more victories in issues of sustainability. Thank you very much for inviting me. Emmanuel, thank you for the organizers. We are all working towards one great thing, and that is making our environment and meeting the needs of the people, the needs of the environment for not us alone, but for generations yet unborn. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Prof. We are so blessed and honored to have you facilitate today's workshop series, and we look forward to have you over and over during the course of the program. Thank you so much, Mark. And sorry, before we go, the technical team are going to send a form to our email, because I can see some people saying they've not been able to join the WhatsApp platform. Hopefully that's a technical issue from your end, but we are going to send a Google form for you to fill your name, your phone number, and your state. Then they will be able to add you directly to the WhatsApp platform. I think that should solve issues around the WhatsApp platform. And please, I want to appeal to each and every one of us to try as much as possible to make good use of the WhatsApp platform. Let's also be mindful of things we share, as far as you can share things that is in line to the Teach4SDG program, or ask questions that are in line to the Teach4SDG program, or if you have a resource that is in line to teach SDGs, you are free to share. But please, content that are not related to such, please let's avoid such. The platform is already open for each and every one of us to connect, to network. Later next week, another LinkedIn community is going to be shared with us for us to build further connection with each other. Thank you so much for this wonderful time. Our next session is tomorrow evening, please, before I forget, also 4 p.m. tomorrow evening. And it's also going to be very short and also super loaded as this. Thank you for joining today. We look forward to see you tomorrow. Thank you.
We can be.
We must be
the first generation
to end extreme poverty.
The generation
most determined
to fight injustice and inequalities.
The generation that saves the planet from climate change.
And this is how it will get done. The global goals.
A 15-year plan
For everyone, everywhere.
With no one left behind.
We will live in a world
where nobody
anywhere lives in extreme poverty.
Where no one
goes hungry.
Where no one
wakes in the morning
asking if there will be food today.
We will live in a world where no child has to die
of diseases we know how to cure.
And where proper health care
is a lifelong right for us all.
We will live in a world
where everyone
goes to school.
And education gives us the knowledge
and skills
for a fulfilling life. We will live in a world where all girls and all women have equal opportunities to thrive and be powerful and safe.
We cannot succeed if half the world is held back.
We will live in a world
where all people can get clean water
and proper toilets
at home, at school, and at work.
We will live in a world where there is sustainable energy for everyone.
Heat, light, and power for the whole planet.
Without destroying the planet.
We will live in a world where economies prosper.
and new wealth.
lead to decent jobs
For everyone.
and we will live in a world where our industry,
Our infrastructure and our
Best innovations
are not just used to make money, but to make all our lives better.
we will live in a world
where prejudices and extremes of inequality
are defeated.
inside our countries
And between different countries.
where people live in cities and communities
that are safe, progressive,
And support everyone who lives there.
where we replace
What we consume. Planet where we put back what we take out of the earth.
We live in a world that is decisively rolling back the threat of climate
change,
where we restore and protect the life in our oceans and seas.
will restore and protect
life on land,
The forests.
Animals, the earth itself.
with peace between and inside countries.
Where all governments are open.
And answer to us for what they do at home and abroad.
And the justice rules.
with everyone equal before the law.
Where all countries and we their people,
Work together.
partnerships of all kinds,
to make these goals a reality.
These are the United Nations global goals.
For sustainable development.
Let's get to work. Let's make it happen.